Let me ask you a question. How many of you ever watched Star Trek before? Where Star Trek, they have like 50 billion Star Treks, right? How many of you ever watched Star Trek Next Generation or Voyager or something like that? How many of you remember the holodeck? Wasn't that cool? If you don't know what I'm talking about, you're not a Trekkie like I am. Here's how it works, okay? They have, in these ships, they have these rooms, right? And they are made to where you can literally make any reality you want in this room. You can create anything. I mean, you could create it to where you would have wings and you could fly around the room. I mean, you could do, just anything you want. You can create it in the holodeck, and then you can go in and you can escape into the holodeck for a few hours, right? Think about that for a moment. Wouldn't that be cool? I think it'd be fun. I don't think people would want to leave, but I think it would be fun, right? But let me ask you this. How many of you have ever wanted to escape your life, even just for a few hours? Escape your problems. I think all of us have experienced that. Last week we started a series called Detox. And what we learned last week is that we all have these hurts, these habits, these hang-ups in our life that are keeping us from getting healthy spiritually and emotionally. Things like fears, addictions, regrets, worry, bad habits, anger, dishonesty, painful memories, perfectionism, resentment. Lord, the list goes on and on and on. Whatever is hurting you, whatever has hurt you in the past, whatever's got a hold of you and you just can't break free. We have these things that are just hurting our life. And in order to get healthy emotionally and spiritually, we have to get rid of these toxins, right? These things, these hurts, these habits, these hang-ups are toxic to our bodies, to our emotional health and our spiritual health. And we have to detox. We got to get rid of them. We got to break free from them. But for a lot of us, the way we deal with these hurts, these habits and hang-ups is we don't get rid of them. We try to escape from them. And escape takes many forms. Let me tell you about an escape that I learned about from my life. An escape that I would do. When Kim and I were first newly married, we went over to my house, my parents' house. I think it was like for Thanksgiving or something like that. And just to give you a little bit of background, I want to be careful here because I want to respect my parents. But there was a lot of tension in my home growing up. There's a lot of tension, a lot of bickering, a lot of just, best way I can say it is tension. And so we went over to my family's house, and immediately what I did was, when we got there, I said hi to my parents and family and said, oh, hi. And I made a straight beeline for the couch and turned the TV on. Now that may not sound too bad. Some of you are like, hey, that's my Thanksgiving, right? I get it. But see, here's what happened. My wife is literally talking to my mom over here, and they're talking to me, and I don't even know that they're talking to me because I am so zoned into the TV, right? And here's the thing, it scared my wife because I'd never done that before. She was like, what is wrong with you? You never done that before. I mean, you were completely zoned out. And it wasn't like there was something really awesome on TV. It wasn't like a great show or a sporting game that I was really into. It was just, I just zoned everything out. And I could tell that it was really bothering her because she was scared. What is going on? And I started to think about it, and I realized, because growing up, that's how I escaped. When things got tense in my house, when things were, all that tension that was going on, I would just turn on the TV and escape from it. Tune it out. That was how I escaped. For some people, they escape in other ways. They escape into a bottle. for that momentary relief where it numbs the pain. For some people, they escape into pornography or sex. For other people, they escape into shopping. They just go on a shopping spree. Man, I just need to buy something. For some, they escape into food. When you become overwhelmed emotionally, when you become just so stressed by life and the hurts and the pains and the habits that are just swirling around in you, where do you look for escape? Think about that for a moment. Answer that for yourself. Where do you look for escape? Because I think we all have those things that we go to when things get tough. What is your escape? There's a couple things that are problematic with these escape plans. One is they are only temporary. It's a temporary fix. It doesn't solve the problem. It gives momentary relief, and then you have to face those same hurts, those same habits, those same hang-ups, because they haven't been eliminated. The second problem is that they can be destructive. These escape plans can be destructive. The escape can actually cause more problems than the original hurt. Did you know that? Pornography can ruin your marriage. Overeating the wrong foods can severely damage your health. And not only that, because it can cause you to become overweight, which then causes you to become depressed, which is its own hurt, right? So now you've magnified the problem and created new problems for yourself because you just wanted to escape. These escape plans can also become addicting. The reason we try to escape when we're hurting is we want to be comforted. We want to have that, however brief, moment or moments or hours of just feeling comfort and escape from the pain. But it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Can I tell you that God has a different way for us to be comforted from our hurts, habits, and hang-ups? I want to share this with you. It's found in the second verse of Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. It's the second choice that we need to make in order to be healed of our hurts, habits, and hang-ups. In Matthew chapter 5, verse 4, this is what Jesus says. He says, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted." Blessed are those that mourn, for they will be comforted. You know, you read that and immediately you realize that Jesus' path for comfort and hope is entirely different than my path to comfort, right? The truth of the matter is, blessed are those who mourn. He's saying that the thing that I am most trying to avoid is God's path to comfort. The truth is, I don't want to mourn. I don't want to think about my habits or my faults. I don't want to think about those things. I want to escape from them. But here's the thing: the minute that I admit that they're there and I mourn that, that's the path to God's comfort in our life. That's reality. That's where God can give us strength. When we finally admit that we have those faults, we have those habits, we have those hang-ups. In this series called Detox, we've been talking about choices that we need to make in order to be free from our hurts, our habits, and our hang-ups. And the first choice was what we talked about last week, which is, I realize I'm not God. I admit that I am powerless to control my tendency to do the wrong thing, and my life is unmanageable. Now here's the second choice that we need to make, and this is the choice we're going to talk about this week. It's called the hope choice. And it says this: it is the choice to earnestly believe that God exists, that I matter to him, and that he has the power to help me to change. There are 3 simple things that we need to do if we're going to make this choice. 3 simple things. And the first is this: we need to recognize who God really is. Who he really is. Listen, if you want God to comfort you, you got to know that you can trust him to comfort you, right? How do I know that God can comfort me? How do I know that? How do I know I can trust him? When all I think about is that he's out to condemn me, because that's how we think, right? There's a lot of us here that we look at God and we think he's just out to condemn me. He's looking over my shoulder, waiting for me to mess up, and then he's going to pounce on it. He's just waiting for me. He's looking for me to fail. And maybe you've come to church today for the first time. Maybe you've been here for a long time, and that's how you feel about God. God is just out. He's looking for me to fail. And I keep failing. If you feel that way, let me ask you something. What are you going to trust? Are you going to trust your feelings that says God is out to get me, he's out to condemn me? Or are you going to trust the event that changed history? Because that event, what happened to Jesus Christ on Easter, when he died on the cross and was raised to life, says exactly who God really is. He's not a God who's out to condemn you. He's out to help you. He loves you. The Bible says in Romans 8:34, it says this: who then will condemn us? No one, for Christ Jesus died for us and was raised to life for us, and he is sitting in the place of honor at God's right hand, pleading for us. Does that sound like a God who's out to condemn you? Does that sound like a God who just wants you to make one more mistake and then he's just going to smack you? No. I totally understand that some of us feel that way, that God is condemning us. And I understand how powerful that feeling is in your life. But let me share this with you. Jesus came to this planet and lived his life for you. And he went to the cross and he died on that cross for you. There is someone who loves you that much that he was willing to die for you. And when I recognize that, when you recognize that, he died for me, he loves me that much, there's got to come a point in my life where I go, you know what? My feelings aren't matching up with reality. I feel like God is out to condemn me, but then I look at these passages that talk about Jesus dying for me, praying for me while he's in heaven, and I don't see that. I don't see God out condemning. I see him loving and reaching out to me. My feelings aren't matching reality. What are you going to trust? Your feelings or what God says about you and what he has done for you? So what's God really like? Who is God? We could spend a whole lot of time on that question. But I want to say this. I want to point out to you one very important quality of God's character, and that is that God is a God of compassion. Psalm 86:15 says this: but you, O Lord, are a compassionate and gracious God, slow to anger, abounding in love and faithfulness. That's what God is really like. He is compassionate. When we talk about life's hurts, habits, and hang-ups, we say, God, I've got these hurts in my life. And you know what God doesn't do? God doesn't go, you know what? You're just being a wimp. You know what? Let me show you this person over here. They have it way worse than you. Suck it up, dude. Right? That's not how God acts towards us. He is compassionate about your hurts. You might think that God is uncaring and unsympathetic, but He's not. He cares about you. He wants to help you. He wants to reach out and rescue you. And if we're going to experience healing from these hurts, habits, and hang-ups, for many of us, one of the things we've got to do is sort of rewrite these tapes that are going on in our mind. These things that we think about God that aren't true. We've got to change that. God is not out to condemn you. He is a compassionate God. He cares for you. He cares about the hurts that you're experiencing. He's not just going, hey, why haven't you gotten over that yet? He looks at you and says, I can help you to work through this. I'm compassionate. I care. Second thing you and I need to do is we need to recognize, if we're going to break free from these hurts, habits, and hang-ups, if we're going to receive that comfort from God, is we need to recognize who I am. Who you are. We began to talk about this last week, but the truth is, I am broken. You are broken. And we got to come to a place where we realize that is the truth, that we are broken. The Bible says this in Romans 3:23. It says, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. I don't think I've met a person yet who would say, no, I'm perfect. I've never sinned. Because see, you and I all know there's something wrong with us. We are broken. We do things that we don't even want to do, but we do it anyway. We're broken. And as much as we know this is true, there is this just something in every one of us that wants to hide from that truth. We don't want to recognize it. We just want to pretend that it's not there and cover it up instead of being honest. But here's the thing. I want to read this verse to you, because what it says is that there's nothing that's going to remain hidden. Listen to this. Luke 12:2 says this, the time is coming when everything that is covered up will be revealed, and all that is secret will be made known to all. Now that scares me, right? Holy smokes. That's a scary thought. Everything that I've tried to hide is going to be revealed. I mean, let me read it to you in the Message version. It says this in Luke 12:2. You can't keep your true self hidden forever. Before long, you'll be exposed. You can't hide behind a religious mask forever. Sooner or later, the mask will slip and your true face will be known. We spend so much of our time and energy hiding from the truth of who we really are. When the truth of the matter is, people know anyway. You'd be surprised what people really know about you. What they can pick up. What they can guess. People can see it in you. But here's the kicker. In the end, it's going to be known anyway. God's going to uncover everything. He's going to pull the curtain and say, here it is. Now that's scary, right? But here's the thing. If you're sitting there and you're going, man, that's freaking me out. Listen, and you're like thinking to yourself, man, everybody's going to know everything I did. It's not going to be like that. When God reveals it to us all the stuff that we've hidden, it's not like I'm going to sit there and look at your life and go, what? You did that? I'm so disappointed in you. Right? It's not going to be like that. Because what's going to happen instead is God's going to pull the curtain back on all of us, and we're going to realize something, that we're all broken. We're all the same. There's not going to be finger pointing between us. We're not going to be like, you did this and you did that. I can't believe it. No. Only finger that we're going to be pointing is we're going to point the finger towards Jesus and say, thank you. Thank you for dying for me. Thank you for what you did to help heal my hurts, my habits, my hang-ups. You see, what God is doing when He's telling us what Jesus is trying to say in this verse is seeing, why be a hypocrite? Why try to hide the hurt, the habit, the hang-up, all the mess in your life? Why try to hide that when it's going to be known anyway? It's going to be revealed. Don't wait till the end. Don't wait till the end. Because here's the thing, if you want to genuinely be healed of your hurts, habits, and hang-ups, you're going to have to reveal it. You're going to have to talk about it. You're going to have to work through it. You can't hide it. Hiding doesn't work. The truth of the matter is, I'm broken. You're broken. And we need to see who we really are. I'm broken. But I'm also loved. I'm loved. I'm loved by the one who knows me best. I'm loved by God who knows that I'm broken. And yet He loves me anyway. So how does God love you? He loves you like no human being has ever loved you. The human love that you've experienced in this life is entirely different from God's love. And the difference is this: human love fades. It fades. You've seen that. It might be there for a moment and then it fades. Too many of you have been disappointed by a faded love. Human love fades, but God's love is everlasting. Listen to this. In Jeremiah 31:3, God says, I have loved you with an everlasting love. Therefore, with loving kindness, I have drawn you. Human love fades, but God's love lasts forever. God's love, it is unfailing. Maybe you've experienced somebody who's failed you on this earth, a love that has failed you. A marriage, a parent, something. You've experienced a failed love. God's love never fails. Psalm 119:76 says this: may your unfailing love be my comfort. Be comforted in the fact that God's love is never going to fail you. Now here's the thing. Some of you, you know that you're loved by God. But the truth of the matter is, life lately hasn't been telling you that. The circumstances of your job, your marriage, whatever it is, it just keeps communicating to you that you're not loved. You're a loser. That's what it just keeps saying to you over and over and over again. And here's the thing, every day of your life, no matter what the circumstances, no matter what somebody says about you, every day of your life, it's so important that you remember this truth: you are loved. You are loved by God who made you, who wants to have a relationship. So whatever your circumstances, whether life is throwing you a curveball of whatever it is, hold on to the truth every day that I am loved. You got to see who you really are. You're broken, but you're loved. You got to see who you really are before you can really be free of this junk in your life. So if I want to experience God's hope and God's comfort, I've got to see who God really is. I've got to see who I really am. But the third thing is this: realize that God can change me. I've got to realize that God can change me. Now here's the thing. There's two different reactions, two different negative reactions when I say something like that. When I say God can change me or God can change you, here's the first reaction. The first negative reaction is, yeah, I'd like to change, but I just don't have the time or energy right now. I'm changing too many diapers. I can't add one more thing. My work schedule's just crazy. My family life is crazy. I just can't add one more thing to my life right now and try to change. I'm just too tired. Another reaction is people often will say, I've tried this 100 times. I've prayed a prayer for change. I've tried to climb up that mountain over and over again, and I keep finding myself back at the beginning. I've tried it and it doesn't work. I've disappointed myself. I've disappointed God. I've disappointed my family, and I can't do it. Why should I even try? Who am I kidding? But here's the problem. Both of these negative reactions, they assume that change comes from one place. It says that change comes from me, right? That somehow I've got to change my life. That somehow I've got to change my life. And that idea of me changing my life, that just wears me out. Doesn't it wear you out? I can't do it. I don't have the strength. I don't have the energy, the power. I just can't change me. And I got to be honest with you, if that was how things were, I'd probably give up right now and go home and watch some TV, right? Just escape. Because I just don't have the power. I don't have the ability to change. So where do I find the power to change? Well, here's what God says about the power to change and the power He wants to give you in your life. Listen to this, Isaiah 40, 28 through 31. Have you ever heard? Have you never understood? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of all the earth. He never grows weak or weary. No one can measure the depths of His understanding. He gives power to the weak and strength to the powerless. Even youths will become weak and tired, and young men will fall in exhaustion. But those who trust in the Lord will find new strength. They will soar high on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint. Listen, let me just tell you this. It's not on your shoulders to change. If you want to have hope, you realize that God's power to change is exactly God. It's God's power to change. It's not your power. It's not me changing for God. It's God changing me through His power. I hope that you hear this, because this is the part where people miss it so often. They assume that they've got to change for God. I've got to fix myself before I can come to church, because man, those church people, they're pretty great, and I'm not. Man, I gotta clean myself up, and of course you can't, right? You don't have that kind of power to change yourself. And you fail over and over again, and you're miserable. And what you've got to realize is it's not your power. You're not changing yourself. God is changing you. I want to give you a picture of this. How does it work to trust in God's power rather than my own power? Let me give you a picture. In the verse that we just read, it talks about eagle's wings, right? That's God's power. But our power is like a hummingbird. You ever seen a hummingbird fly, right? They flit from flower to flower. They just go here, and there, right? That's a hummingbird, right? Their little wings are moving so fast. Let me ask you this. Have you ever watched the nature program and you've seen a video of a hummingbird and they're just going 90 miles an hour, right? And then they go in slow motion. They show the video in slow motion, right? And you know what? Those hummingbird, their wings, they really don't slow down. Even in slow motion, they're going 90 miles an hour, right? You still can't see them. That's how fast these guys are just moving, right? So much energy. So much energy. They're just so fast. Some of you, you're exactly like that hummingbird. You're just worn out by life. You're here, you're there, you're looking for hope for in this place and in that place. You're just going from thing to thing. But here's the thing. When it comes to connecting with God, when it comes to what's most important in life, when it comes to changing your life, it's not the hummingbird. It's not your power. It's not how much energy you put into it. If you're worn out by trying to get from one place to another or trying to change yourself, I've got news for you. It's not the hummingbird. It's the eagle. Have you ever watched an eagle fly? They can soar to heights of over 10,000 feet. A little hummingbird, they can't even get over your house, right? They just don't have that kind of power, right? But the eagle, they can soar to 10,000 feet. And you know why? Have you noticed they don't even flap their wings? They flap maybe once, an eagle, and then they just keep soaring and soaring and soaring. You know how? You know why? Because they were designed to catch the updraft of the wind. And that updraft of the wind represents God's power. That eagle only has to flap only a few times, and they go higher and higher because of that wind. We need to change. We need to stop trying to do it the hummingbird way, all on our own. And we need to realize all we really need to do is lean on God and catch the updraft of His power. Let Him carry us to where we need to go, what we need to do. It's a matter of saying, God, I need you. I'm not going to get there on my own. I trust you. I need you. Listen to this verse. The Bible says this in Philippians 2:13. It says, for God is working in you, giving you the desire and the power to do what pleases Him. Isn't that amazing? Not only does God give us the power to do what pleases Him, but He gives us even the will. How many of you have ever just been like, I don't even know that I want to change. I know I should want to, but I just don't. Listen, pray and say, God, give me the desire to change. Give me the desire to be who you want me to be. And that verse says that's exactly what God will do. He will change your heart, and He will give you the desire to be different, to be somebody that pleases Him. God will give you the power. And that's where freedom comes in. When you recognize it's not all about me, it's not all about my power, but it's all about God. God giving me the power to change. I don't know what your hurt, your habit, your hang-up is, but listen, if you want freedom from that, if you want to be healed of that, it's not going to come by you and your willpower. You're not going to do it the hummingbird way. It's not going to be about how much energy you put into it. It's when you rest in God's power and say, God, I need you to change me. Even to give me just the will and the desire to change. I need you. So if you want to experience comfort, hope, and healing from your hurts, habits, and hang-ups, then you need to make the hope choice. And I'm going to read this again to you. This is the choice that we all need to make. The second choice in the list of choices that we need to make in this series. And the hope choice is this: I earnestly believe that God exists, that I matter to Him, and that He has the power to help me to change.